Thank you. That was so nice. So you have a little idea of how lucky you are to have me here tonight. It's a big deal. Yeah, I did all those movies, and every one of them was easier than this. Making documentaries, especially the one you're about to see, takes courage and patience and an ability to face difficulty unlike anything else, and a level of creativity beyond anything we do in narrative filmmaking. This, I believe, is the more creative filmmaking outlet. What you're going to see tonight is extraordinary. I hope you'll, I was going to say stay afterwards, but I'm going to stay for the whole thing. That's already a start. Stay afterwards. We're going to have a nice conversation with producers of the film. Talk about what you guys want to talk about. The movie, the making of the movie, whatever it is. And I hope when it's all done, you guys will most likely feel how impressed and moved I was when I saw the film. And I'd love to hear what you have to say, especially how many here are filmmakers or future filmmakers? Right, and documentary filmmakers? Idiots. No, it's extraordinary. And thank God for you, because I think you're the most important filmmakers we have. So please, enjoy. I'm going to say something, you're not all going to ignore me, but it would be really nice if people moved down. It's a movie. Come see the movie. It's okay. Oh, that's college. You're going to stay in the back and make out. Okay. Enjoy. We'll see you guys after the movie.
Alexa's awesome. Guys, if you need to pee, go pee.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Restrooms down the hall.
It's very hard to talk after that. I think everyone's extremely moved. And it's a little overwhelming to see it. Because it's so removed from our life, right? I mean, Afghanistan is sold as the most remote, farthest away place. How did you guys get there in the first place? How did you learn about this?
Yeah, well, first of all, I am so moved, to see this full room and for everyone to wait during our pivot, just to so many people from different chapters of my life, from professors to dear friends and mentors, have shown up here to support us and make this screening happen. So Lauren and Courtney and Lizette and everyone who made this happen, I'm so moved to be back at Pepperdine. This is where my journey with film began. And so to come back just means everything. I don't know how else to say it except that this story found and chose us. This is not the film we set out to tell. This is not the film we thought it would turn into. And making this film, changed the course of our lives. Something that's really funny is that in some of our early Q&As, this started out as a short ski film. So my partner Ben is the director, cinematographer, and editor of this movie. If you are an aspiring filmmaker, do not recommend that. Don't do that. Not for a feature film. Ben is Alaskan. He has grown up steeped in mountains and documenting mountain cultures. And so we joked that we set out to make the cool runnings of Afghan skiing. So pretty cool that John.
Well, it was hilarious.
Funny. So we had read an article in National Geographic about this ski culture in Bamiyan and how young kids were using wooden planks and milk carton bindings and skiing down the hill, and women were skiing and kids were skiing from these rival villages, and we're like, this sounds mythical. And so Ben and an all-male crew went to Afghanistan. So I did not go to Afghanistan because this was a short film. Ben makes films for Patagonia and Arc'teryx and the North Face, and so he was like, I'm gonna go make a ski movie, and I was helping budget and produce and find the grant, but I didn't go to Afghanistan. And he went to Afghanistan, and of course, you can imagine what his mother thought when he says, oh, I'm taking a UN flight, we're going to Bamiyan, where is Bamiyan? Bamiyan's in Afghanistan. His mom's terrified, because we all have preconceived notions of what Afghanistan is and means. And when he showed up, he was just met with the most immense hospitality, joy, kindness.
Did they know he was coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had reached out to Ali Shah. Ali Shah had a number of relationships with Western journalists because he had tried to be an Olympian. And so he trained. He actually lived in St. Moritz for a winter. I wish we could go into this more in the film. But he went into the World Cup trying to qualify for the Olympics. And when he didn't qualify, he went back to Bamiyan and built this beautiful ski culture. And so, long story short, Ben shows up and is just like, these are the most beautiful, joyful, resourceful, hospitable people. And I had a lot of preconceived notions. And so it started out that way. And we made that film. We made a 40-minute film, which will never see the light of day, which no one has seen. And we finished that film, and we said it was the most joyful film that has ever been made in Afghanistan. And we were like, it was the Cool Runnings of Afghan skiing. And 6 weeks after that film was made, not released, Afghanistan collapsed. And we started getting the most harrowing messages from Ali Shah, from the women skiers, from the ski club. And it's really hard to talk about, but just like seeing what they went through, like these were people who were so happy. And they had they never wanted to leave their home. And we started reaching out to journalists, to veterans, to NGOs, to international governments to say, like, how do we get these people out of Afghanistan? And we were working around the clock. We were living on Afghanistan time. And it just to witness what they went through. And I mean, it's not dissimilar what people in this community have been through with the fires. I mean, you have no notice and you put your most precious belongings in a backpack and you flee. And witnessing that from our home in Colorado changed our whole life. And we started over.
And how, so you show up, he knows you're going to make a movie, you're going to make a cute ski movie. Isn't it cute? These people ski.
Yeah.
But forgetting what happened later, the depth of Ali Shah, the self-understanding, the self-knowledge is extraordinary. Where did that come from in him? Where is that just who he is? It just seems so strange to have that much self-awareness and speak so beautifully.
He has a beautiful heart. I mean, I think Ali Shah is a poet, and I think he is an incredible soul. He would say that, like, I grew up as a shepherd, and then these Italians came skiing in Afghanistan, and he taught himself English by reading dictionaries. And he said, I want to learn how to ski. I want to learn English. And he ended up, like, through meeting people in the world, through travel, through meeting other people who he didn't understand, was like, I think it is who he is in his heart. I think he is a beautiful, courageous, like, wise person. And I also think he would say that skiing and having these experiences in the world have opened him up and opened his heart to this feeling of, like he said, I wanted to be a part of something bigger and I wanted to be a part of building peace. And so in a way, like, I would have loved for Ali Shah to go to the Olympics, but it's almost his failed Olympic dream that made him say, what can I do at home? What can I do in my community? And I think that was just inspired us so much.
One of the most beautiful moments, I think, of the whole process of this film was getting to world premiere this at Tribeca and having Ali Shah be there in New York City, seeing it on the big screen and having that pride in his story. And I think he always tells this story about how when he's now in Germany and he's living his life, he wishes just that people didn't think of him only as a refugee, but as a skier, as somebody who had built a community, who had done all these other things, right? And recently, what was it, just a few weeks ago, he had a screening in his hometown.
First time he showed it in Germany, first time in the film.
And it
They
sounds
had no
like
idea really who he was until that screening.
And it was a film festival, and the film won the grand jury prize there, and Ali Shah was able to be there to speak afterwards and represent the film. And that's why, I mean, I'm not to hate on your work, but like, this is why narrative film is not what documentary is, right? I mean, I think like having that ability to have these are real stories. This is someone's real life, and it's ongoing and continuing. And I think it's why I love this film. But
and I mean, one more thing about Ali Shah. I mean, he's just an amazing person. We fundraised to bring him to Tribeca, and then we got a sponsor to bring him on a winter ski tour because Tribeca was in June, so not much skiing to be had then. So he came out, and we had screenings in Aspen, Jackson Hole, Alaska, and in Alaska we had a screening with as part of our impact campaign. We had a screening with 100 Afghan refugees who fled Afghanistan and like woke up in Alaska. Can you like? And you know, it was this amazing opportunity for them to watch the film and feel for a moment like they were home, and then for other people to say, wait, you're our neighbors and this is where you're from. And like, it's just been so meaningful to share it and to like have these experiences for Ali Shah. It's been such a ride. Yeah.
These students see the power of films. This is, with all the fighting and arguing going on in our country and around the world, it makes nothing makes a dent. This changes everything, right? You see it. You're forced to see people. The storytelling. Forgetting the overall story of the Taliban come in, obviously that's the thing. But you go there and you shoot. Ben shoots. You just shoot a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a script. You don't have an idea. You kind of, we'll see, and it's a cute ski movie. At what point did the story find itself?
And the translator couldn't ski. So Ben, when he's on all of those mountain scenes, any of the things, Ben's just shooting, having no idea what anyone's talking
What did he shoot
about.
on? What equipment?
It was
A
a
red.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of GoPros and things for that ski race rigged up that you saw there, and drones.
And the power of the
very
village?
cool.
How is
Yeah.
he charging these batteries?
Yeah.
His battery's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were staying in like a former warlord's palace, which was the hotel. But yeah, they filmed with a drone, and it was like obviously snowing like crazy, and there was like 3% battery, and Ben was like, well, you know, he's like has a GoPro on a stick, and there's like one guy at the finish line. I mean, it was like a crew of 3 people that made this whole thing in Bamyan, and Ben's like, oh, well, it's 3% battery left, so if this thing dies, we don't have a movie, you know, like that's pretty intense. But the story, I think, the story of the rivalry really came in to focus. You know, Ben did have to build trust. He was there about a month, but he built trust quite quickly because it's like you're in avalanche terrain. Like Chris said, there's no translator on the mountains, and they know these mountains and the lines and where to go. And so there was a lot of just like trust built through the language of skiing, through the language of sport. Yeah. But I think the rivalry, like Ben found it so funny that it was almost like, oh, St. Ali's from the other side of the tracks, like Mushtaba, like our families don't get along. Like the rivalry like was a bit like, you know, Ben was like, is this real? Is this, but it was very like, he started filming Mushtaba because we heard he was like the reigning champ. And then Hussein Ali, that shot where he cuts him off, everyone thinks it's staged. We had not met Hussein Ali at that point, and Hussein Ali just comes in with this like main character energy in the hot pink snowsuit, just being like, why are you filming him? Like, I'm the champ, you know? And like, it was, Ben was said almost the camera like almost amped up the rivalry. But, you know, here's these 2 teenage potato farmers in the rural Afghanistan, and they're like, you know, I don't have anything in common with that guy. Our families are enemies.
Wait, time out.
Okay,
yeah.
The teenagers?
Well, they were like, you know, 18
at that time.
at that time.
How many people thought they were in their mid-20s or older?
Yeah, they were like 18. They're
But
like
imagine
25
that
now.
these 2 kids thought they had nothing in common, and they're 2 potato farmers from just an
In
hour
Afghanistan
away.
who like making skis out of wood. So they were just like, we believe different things, our fathers won't have it. And so like they really did feel that like, oh, we don't get along with people from Chapdara. And I like Ben and I are looking at this saying like, how funny is it that sometime we now look at our neighbors and maybe they vote different and maybe they pray different or maybe they look different or speak a different language, but they are our neighbors, and we actually just have so much more in common than we understand. And so watching them go through this ski challenge and become friends, and then obviously they have the worst upheaval of their life with the Taliban coming back into power, and there's this shared humanity.
I mean, the powerful statement is, I mean, he just fell into some amazing things, but when he says, the youth can find peace, but their parents will not let them have it. Their parents will remind them they are enemies. Right? How do you overcome that? And how are we not living the same thing here? Right? I mean, it's so powerful. Now, obviously, you pick and choose what you show in a film, right? There's that's not the only dialogue you recorded.
No, yeah.
Right?
A lot we left out.
But you bring all that to it.
I mean, that interview with Ali Shah in Germany was almost 6 hours long, the longest interview Ben's ever done in his career, longest interview I would have ever done in my career. And it was full of tears and conversation and covering all sorts of things, and there's so much there that you wish you could put in the film, and in the end, one of the hardest parts of being a filmmaker is what you leave on the cutting room floor.
Was it Ben's idea to go skiing?
What, in Afghanistan?
No,
At the
in
end.
Germany at the end.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
And yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a good.
And having that color come back into the picture, I think that was a solution was figured out later in the edit of trying to figure out how do you blend these stories, right? You've got this film that you just made, and now how do you possibly try to mesh that together?
But
These
that's
very different
filmmaking.
realities.
That's storytelling, filmmaking, not a news report.
Yeah.
Right. You are entitled to all those filmmaking techniques and use what you can.
But that's where I think, honestly, some of the best films are the ones that are made through constraints, right? They're made through challenges because you're forced to try to make those two worlds come together, even though you would never script it that way. We would have never tried to make that movie. But because we had to, it came out as something so beautiful. It's like a diamond. You end up like kind of through the tension and the hardship and the hundreds of rough cuts you make of it, it comes out as something
And I mean,
really
this took
special.
6 years on the side. This was a total passion project for Ben and I, like a very tiny team, very little funding. We would do other jobs and then do this when we had time. And then the story like evolved over years, but this is something that like we didn't set out to make, you know? And then as soon as we got into Tribeca, then we scaled up our team and we're like, oh, maybe this is a real movie. Like, I don't know, maybe like any movie that gets finished is like a miracle. So I'm always like amazed at the fact that like when I walk into this room and I'm like, wow, you guys just all watch this movie. It like almost shocks me every time that it's like real and happening. But yeah, should we open some audience questions?
We definitely have to have questions.
I love how enthusiastic and positive everybody was speaking about each other. Was that prompted? Like, tell us something nice about your competitor, or were they all just naturally that enthusiastic and positive?
No, because like I said, like the prompts, it was like so much was like captured verite because of the translations, and there was a translator on the ground. But no, I mean, it was very like I wish Ben was here. He's on the jury of the Banff Film Festival, so he can't be here tonight. But he has such an incredible, easy presence, and I think he is very like unobtrusive, and like I think the way he films is to like be really quiet. He's Alaskan, and he just lets what happens like unfold. And so I think that people felt really at ease, and I think that like how they were interacting was really natural. Like I think it's not like you're directing a documentary being like, sure, maybe you stand here to get the shot, but you're not like telling them what to say. You're just kind of capturing life as it was. And I think that's why it's so remarkable, because the Bamiyan skiers are just they were such special people. Like they are.
Did he bring skis with him? Did he know to bring skis with him? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, and actually normally when we come to screenings, we bring like the wooden skis from Bamiyan, and they're fun to, so if we ever do another screening, if we ever pack out Elkins, again, fix the speakers, we can bring the skis. But I
think like all over the world, no matter different places that we've filmed in Syrian refugee camps or in Afghanistan or wherever, like people have so much pride to share with you that like honestly sometimes you sit there with a camera and you don't even ask any questions, and people want to show you their life and come, let me show you this thing, and come with me on a walk this way, and you just go and you get to become a part of the fabric for a few months of a life in a community, and then try to do your best that you can to make them translate out into a film and make them proud. And I think that's where like having Ali Shah like it was the best.
People are much more used to having a camera on them and filming than they used to.
Yeah.
Right? We're always filming ourselves and all this kind of stuff now, and that's making things better. More questions?
Yeah. I'm a producer, so you were talking about it took 6 years, and in fact, I was wondering, this is a work of time, because you took it prior to the war, through the war, then in the refugee in Germany. So I shoot a lot in war fields, so documentaries and stuff. And I was wondering if you had some difficulty, because you started in a peacetime, and then you enter an area that is quite dangerous. We all know it, just like Gaza or other places, So did you find some challenges of that kind, or?
Well, yeah, let me share a bit about that. So during the evacuation, all of that footage in that scene, we were not in Afghanistan when that happened. That was all footage that people we were working to evacuate sent us on their phones, saying, what gate do I go to at the airport? This is what I'm seeing. Where do I go? And it's a longer story, but we were part of a network of people getting people out of Afghanistan on the last days when planes were, you probably remember the images. And we were supporting, and we were fortunate to we didn't get Ali Shah out of Afghanistan. He was helped by some Italians. But by the time he got out, we had successfully found some pathways to get people out and on planes. And so we were, on the very last push, we were able to get 263 Afghans out, mostly female athletes and their families. And so we weren't in Afghanistan. Most people who were doing this humanitarian evacuation were doing this on the ground through Signal, through WhatsApp, through these, coordination, basically like, okay, this person has a plane, this person has empty seats, this person has money, this person has visas. And so it was like, honestly, the craziest producing job of life. But then we filmed in Germany, so in a way, like, there were a lot of constraints. We had a month of footage from Afghanistan, and then, a couple weeks in Germany. But we wouldn't go back to Afghanistan. Ali Shah will never go back to Afghanistan. I mean, we wouldn't film this film now. And I think that was the whole point, was like, as we didn't film anything in the evacuation, but like, it was 6 months later, we were talking to Ali Shah, and we thought, how like harrowing but also privileged are we that we can capture this community intact. And that's what we wanted to show. I think most refugee films or films that might try to discuss similar themes would start at the peak moment of someone's trauma and loss. I mean, imagine people who fled in the fire, maybe some of you, like, your story is not the worst thing that ever happened to you. Your story is not after you lose everything. And we just thought how important it is. I think the truth is you're more likely to be able to hold someone's suffering when you also are able to experience someone's joy.
Someone had a question here. Go ahead. Yeah.
I saw on a few occasions there was a person blurred out. I can imagine maybe why that was, but can you expand on that?
It was a woman.
What was happening there? It was a woman, I think.
So every woman skier you see in the film is now out of Afghanistan. The one woman who was blurred was a minister of tourism, and she was speaking out actively about like girls in sports and how important it is. And so even though because she was a woman in a government leadership role, we just blurred her. There's no consequences for like women skiing 5 years ago pre-Taliban, but there was just a level of caution we wanted to take, of course, to just make sure that all of our protagonists and people in the film are protected. And so because of that history of her role, we just figured it would be better to blur her, and then change. There's a lot of things that go into that to just make sure she's not identifiable.
Yeah.
What was Malala's reaction to this film when she seen it?
Yeah, Malala's an executive producer. She actually grew up in Pakistan. In the Hindu Kush Mountains, which these are the Hindu Kush Mountains, and she grew up on the other side in a valley, so like the same mountain range, but in Pakistan. And she said, when I grew up, there was a ski resort, and it was mostly for tourists who would come into Pakistan. But there were a lot of local villagers who would ski and had their own kind of different ski culture. But she said the mountains really reminded her of her homeland, and I think she's a very amazing activist and for women's rights and refugees alike. And so we're really honored that she decided to endorse and be an executive producer on the film. But yeah, she loves it.
What was the process for you in getting access to go to Afghanistan and film there? I know you mentioned a UN flight, but like, what organizations are you working through to make all that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely pretty technical. There's an organization called Untamed Borders, and they helped, they help arrange actually like travel and tourism to a lot of these places that are more intrepid and that people aren't necessarily traveling to. And so, yeah, as a producer, there's a lot of logistics. There was a UN flight. You can fly at that time. You could just fly into Kabul, and then to drive to Bamiyan, there would have been like Taliban checkpoints, even though, but you can, you arranged a UN flight that was already kind of going. And so, yeah, I mean, the logistics are pretty crazy. Even just the logistics to get skis sent over here after the fall of the Taliban was a pretty crazy thing. But it just, there's a lot of moving pieces. But like, luckily, I think the advice I would give is to find experts and people who have more on the ground local knowledge, who have been in the field before, and so you take all that like really seriously in terms of safety and building out the production and the figuring that out. But I'd be happy to like speak more to that.
How far from Kabul is this?
Huh?
How far from Kabul is?
It's funny. It's like the kilometers. I mean, 4 hours, 2-3 hours.
Drive.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, resources that are put out by journalists who go into war zones of security protocols and other things that you can kind of follow, and people share them all online to help others, have different resources of, oh, hey, daily check-ins, or here's the security plan for what happens if X happens. And so you really want to...
And there was security and,
Yeah, make sure you got a good plan in place before just getting on a plane.
Yeah.
The film is so beautiful and so moving. Have the guys in Afghanistan seen it?
They were the first people to see it.
What was their reaction?
How were they able to see it?
We set it up.
Internet?
We set it up there. Yeah, I mean, it's some details, but there was a woman.
Do you know that? Can I just interrupt for a second? Katie got a CIA offer because of the amount of people that she got out
the camera
of Afghanistan in this moment, after the 3 months after this of trying to get hundreds of people out, the coordination, the producing thing. That's how good of a producer she is. Sorry. I had to embarrass you. I'm sorry.
I do not work for an intelligence agency.
I have a few technical questions.
Sorry, can we just let her finish her question, then we'll come
No,
back?
I just want to hear what they said and what they thought.
Yeah.
So we set up. There was a woman who's from Slovenia was the women's ski coach, and she still goes back and sees the boys who are still skiing. So we set up. We set up a TV, and they ate popcorn and they watched the movie, and it was so sweet. I mean, we showed them before we showed Ali Shah. We showed the boys of Bamiyan. And I mean, I love the line in the film, and I sometimes forget about it, but it's like, I want people to know our names, and I think that they felt like the way they acted when they were in these ski tournaments. I mean, that's so real. Like, they felt like skiing allowed them to be like heroes of their village. And I think seeing themselves in like vivid color, I mean, they love the movie. They feel that they are superstars. Like they are, like, we're so grateful they let us tell their story, but I think they just were like, hey, that's us. Like, people are watching what we did here, and it means something. And I think, I don't know, I'm so happy that they liked the film. But I think we've always wanted this to like honor them and their community.
Yeah. I think you guys do this documentary so well in that we talk so much about the story and like how impactful it is, but I think that an audience, because it's so well made, like sometimes forgets the technicality of how to make a documentary. So I think first to start, I just want to ask, like, what were the technical challenges that you guys faced in making this documentary? I know we talked briefly before about how hard it is to make a documentary and how much harder it is to make a documentary than a narrative. So just
really, John's never done anything in his life.
But and like the technical challenges.
And we get paid so much.
We do this for the money, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like, this has been just like going to Afghanistan, making a movie, throwing it on the ground and breaking it into 1,000 pieces and making it another movie. Like, it just has felt in a way like when I watch the ski challenge, I'm like, this is kind of like what it feels like to make this movie. Like, you're pushing yourself up a mountain.
Yeah, I think making a documentary is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
It's a game of persistence. It's not like, I have friends who are musicians, and you can write a song in a moment of inspiration. You cannot do that with a documentary.
Yeah.
It's not about motivation or those moments of inspiration. It's about sheer will to just continue taking that step, one step after another through and wading through the hundreds of hours of footage.
And a tribute to Ben is like, he has formed a career filming on mountains, but like he's like on skis and with a camera, and like, just technically it's like your batteries are freezing and it's cold and they don't last as long, and the lens is getting wet, and there's just like a million things, and you're charging your battery with an adapter in a country where power is, there's just so many things. So like everything is its own little mini marathon. Then you make the film and you're like, oh, I'm done with the film. And then you're like, oh wait, now I have to release it, now I have to market it, now I have to distribute it, and so there's so many mini like false summits in this. And so like the technical challenges, infinite, including in tonight when the speakers blew out in Elkins.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's representative of this career, I think.
Yeah.
But if you look at this movie, to all the students, you guys have no excuses. Right? Look what they did. Just with your iPhone, you guys can go make. You can't say anymore. Oh, it's too hard. The film and cameras. You can make your movie.
Yeah.
Right? No excuses. Go.
I know we're wrapping up here, and Chris and I will stay around if people have more questions. There's something I will say to the students who are making a film, like, this is something we maybe thought would be like an 8-month project. It turned into a 6-year project. And I guess, like, these people inspire me so much. Like, their courage, their heart, their poetry. I didn't know I was going to be inhabiting this world for 6 years. But if you're going to tell a story, really make sure it is a story that moves you. Because if it moves you, it's going to move others. And it is going to be a world that you have to live and breathe and pour your heart into. And so just, you'll know when the story is the one you need to tell, because it will be a can't not. Yeah. And I hope you all go out and make movies, because it's been the most rewarding thing ever.
We want to bring, in particular, a thanks to Katie, our alumna.
Thank you all for making this a later night, for coming to the smaller classroom, for sticking it out with us. It just means the world. Thank you. And we'll stick around.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And we've got